Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tabletopped. I'm your host, Nick, and today we are doing another module build from a movie because it is a summer blockbuster season. And today I'm joined by my three best friends. Let's do a little round table. I'm looking directly at you. Who are you?
I've got my ticket. I'm 15 minutes early at the station. It's me, Daniel.
I'm running late, and I don't get on the train, and I'll have to take an Uber to the next stop to get you. It's Franco.
And I'm just waiting at the Blockbuster for you to pick me up. For some reason, they're closed, and I can't figure out why, and it's really stressing me out, guys. I'm Shade.
Yeah, combo breaker. So today...
So you're the conductor.
Yeah, I'm the conductor.
And we're going to explain this premise now.
Yeah, if you didn't already guess it, and how could you not have from those jokes, we're doing Bullet Train today. We're going to make a module out of the action comedy Brad Pitt vehicle that came out recently. Franco, this was your idea. Give us a little bit of why you wanted to do Bullet Train.
I wanted to do Gundam Wing, but yeah, we can do Bullet Train.
And I also didn't pick up on the fact you guys were doing train references. I'm an idiot. I was just like, I'll talk about blockbusters and which I missed.
I literally said stop. Daniel said ticket. I'm 15 minutes early, and we're doing Bullet Train.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought you were talking about your actual transport today. Because it's pretty damn similar to what you did today.
I guess that's true.
Shade never changed.
I caught two
really
trains as they
don't.
were arriving, and it was great. It was a great feeling. Anyway, yes, it was my idea. It's my fault. I'm sorry. You can blame me. Bullet Train is did it come out last year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this movie's old. If you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry, but it's not important. I'm not going to spoil anything. Basically, the premise is Brad Pitt's on a train full of assassins, and he needs to get something.
He has to, get the suitcase.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of other assassins, and they're all really great characters, and they're
looking
all
for the
fun,
suitcase.
and they're also looking for the suitcase. So it's a big old mix 'em up, and also you get the fun of being on a train. Trains are great.
Imagine Snowpiercer, but a comedy.
Yeah, train movies don't get enough love, but they're a whole genre.
Yeah.
I do fucking hate Snowpiercer though.
Really?
It sucks.
Okay.
Okay, they're gonna come after me. Says Nick. Right now. He's gonna jump across the table.
In one sentence, why does it suck?
It just sucks. I don't know.
The cinematography is very, very cool, I will say.
Yeah, it goes from left to right.
Yeah,
it's going forward. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Okay.
Nice little trick. Who cares? Do you like every Wes Anderson movie because everything's a picture frame? Like some of them are really bad, like The French Dispatch.
Oh yeah, that's a bad one.
That sucked.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, I
Let's
just
talk
saw
about more movies
Asteroid
that we hate.
City.
What'd you
How's
think?
that?
It was so great.
Cool.
I loved it. I didn't understand it, but I enjoyed the ride.
You know what's really easy to understand? Bullet Train.
Bullet Train.
Back on track.
Back on track.
Hey, look at that.
Hey,
Shade's with us.
He left the
He trained me.
blockbuster. Oh, okay.
We've made a
That's
monster.
really bad. That's really bad. Yeah, Bullet Train. It's pretty straightforward plot there. We're on a train. We need to get the MacGuffin, and that's it.
Yeah.
How do we do this?
Okay, so
start, Nick.
so let's start with doing the ground rules of what kind of module do we want to do? Do we want to make it a one shot? Do we want to make it a
Definitely
campaign
a one-shot.
setting?
Absolutely a
For
one
sure.
shot.
All right, one
It's
shot.
one trip, yeah.
one trip, one
one-way
shot.
ticket.
What group size are we looking for?
I guess you could do 6.
Yeah,
I feel
think
like 6 would be a good
maximum
number.
of
6 is the max.
I feel like minimum of 4
Correct.
as well.
Yeah.
Or you need at least 4 people trying
Yeah.
to go for this.
And what system would you want to base it in?
Not 5e, please.
No, this is definitely everyone should have an equal access to skills. So I would say Monster of the Week.
Or a
See, this
PBTA, you mean?
This is
Yeah,
the thing,
it should be
though.
PBTA.
Just a 2d6 resolution system, and then you could just kind of roll with whatever.
See, this is maybe where our first disagree will happen.
This guy's not wanting PBTA?
I know, what's wrong with me?
What the hell?
The big thing is that with PBTA, it's all about, it's very loose, and combat is super loose.
Yeah.
And in a PvP setting, I think that to keep things fair feeling, you need something with a little bit more gristle in the rules.
And
I think we are also kind of saying that we didn't really say this, but we are thinking PvP for this because we were talking about that off mic.
Yeah, I mean, because that is also really the premise ultimately of the thing. Although, there could
you
be
don't
some
have
team
to.
ups.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that
that.
it would be a PvEVP.
Just something
Friendly environment. Yeah, the
classic.
conductor's also in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think that
stop
there is,
screwing around.
in my personal view of what this module should have is there should be, up to 6 players that you were saying, but you should have a dedicated DM to run the environmental hazards.
Yeah,
Because the
and
train's
monsters.
definitely a character.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's
But-
Thomas.
So
Thomas the Tank Engine.
and you know me, I do love a little bit of crunch, and I
Yeah.
do love my 5e because I'm dumb. But and so I am on your side. But I will say, PBTA games they're not excluded from a PvP thing. I mean, to an extent, games like Thirsty Sword Lesbians have PvP elements. Even Monster of the Week has you can influence other characters in a variety of ways.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's a Monster Hearts style, and so you get a string on
Exactly
somebody.
where I was driving towards.
Yeah, every time you do something to kind of unveil your identity, you give somebody a string or something like that.
Exactly.
But just because I don't hate where this is going, but do we think that the system of combat in PBTA, which is you hit, they hit automatically,
Just
sort
like
of
that?
thing? Yeah. Franco, get the fuck out! No, but like that feeling of like no matter what you do, you can't get a clean hit on somebody, sort of thing. Do we think that would feel bad while playing it? If like you get the drop on someone you've been hiding or whatever, you're like, I come out and I put my knife right in his throat, and then the person's like, I guess I hit you back for 5 damage because I have a shotgun, kind of thing. Like, what do we feel about that?
Well, you'd have to roll. I mean, that you're making it PvP.
Not in
PBTA, 'cause you-
Well, but you would have to modify that.
Okay, here's the. I think we're like inventing a game as well.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love
it's going to be
inventing games.
Ticket to Ride at the end. That's all we're gonna
Okay, so that's really fun. Okay, so here you go. So you do like you're trying to do like kick some ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can only get your like kill stunner off or whatever, like your final poison needle to the throat thing, if they're below like the certain line of damage or something like that. And so like a lot of the fighting, a lot of the stuff, if it's like, yeah, they're trying to shoot you or something like that, like when you're the defender in the situation, you would like, you're like, well, okay, well, I'm gonna like, I don't know, like if the roll fails, you just don't get hit really.
Honestly,
or like they're able to like just hit you or something in the face.
I think that luck could be used for this because luck is that sort of like thing that is a resource that will go away completely after a while. Like you said, if someone rolls like a 10 plus or whatever, which is like a clean hit, then you can be like, okay, I subtract a luck or I'm gonna fucking die, kind of thing. And then once you're out of luck, which is 7 times that happens, then you're gonna get killed.
No, fuck this, guys. We're doing a dice pool game. This is a dice pool. I mean, it's definitely a dice pool game.
All right, let's
That
bring out
also
our
makes sense,
soulbound experience.
I will say, I think that you're fine just with the 10 plus. It's a clean hit. The other person doesn't hit you, and that's enough. I do think that is more than enough for this.
Yeah, and on a fail, you get a clean hit in or something like that. But I am serious about the dice pool thing, because then you have like a limited amount of resources or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You choose your game at home.
That makes a lot of sense because as you're like fighting all the assassins on the train, you would get like
you
more
would get
worn
tired.
out and have less, dice to
Your
spend.
dice to spend, yeah.
So I'm on Team Franco on the dice.
I mean,
pool
dice
game.
pools are fun.
I got it.
It
I got
replicates
it. I
fatigue.
figured it out using this system that you just had. We're gonna take the luck system.
Yeah.
And every time you would have a 10 plus, it would be like essentially like a 10 plus is a kill. Like you are dead.
Fuck.
And then except
It's really easy to get.
except the luck is going to be like the way you mitigate that as it goes down. But as you use up your luck, you get rid of dice that you have in your pool. So like when you are in a fight, maybe you could just do like a dice versus dice, like whoever rolls the highest or whatever gets the outcome, and then they roll their 2d6 or whatever. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Maybe we should save inventing the system for a different episode.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, it's already, how are they going to buy the system?
Well, you just package it with the game.
Powered by
there we go.
Tabletop.
Right.
You just package it with the game. It's a
So yeah, let's just get to the system agnostic aspect of building this, perhaps.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So what we have is one shot session, up to 6 players, a GM, and system agnostic. Those are the sort of rules that we're going to be operating in.
Yeah.
How do we want to start building this? Like what are the core pieces we have to put into place before we move on?
I guess I want to define what I mean, so I think there's definitely a MacGuffin on the train that
Yeah. Mhm.
somebody's getting that everybody wants to get.
Right.
And the place they have to get it to is the end of the line.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
you need
kind
to
of
be holding the MacGuffin at the end of the ride.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I think that it would be really fun to have like a dungeon turn style procedure where you have like a D6 every time you reach a stop,
Mhm.
and you roll a D6, and like on certain things, like different things happen, like a bunch of bystanders crowd into one car,
Yeah.
or like more assassins from a different group like come in and are fighting themselves or something like that, like different kind of like encounter things.
Should
Can I
we
pause?
kind of complicate things.
I want to pause you on one thing. 'Cause I think another way to handle the MacGuffin bit is I think it'd be fun to start by kind of like in Battlestar Galactica,
Mhm.
the board game. You pass out the cards, and everyone looks at their cards like you have the briefcase, or
Oh shit!
you don't have the briefcase, and you're like, okay, well, I don't have the briefcase, which means I'm looking for it.
Right? Yeah.
And then I
'cause-
have the briefcase.
Yeah.
I need to not let people know that I have the briefcase. That
Yeah,
would be like a
I think
fun,
that's a lot of fun.
That's really
element
cool,
to
yeah.
start.
Yeah.
yeah.
So one person is like, okay,
Yes.
I just have to make it 6 stops without
Mhm.
dying.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that at the top of the game, you do need to roll how many stops
Mhm.
is the
Mhm.
destination. It should
Maybe
be
it's just 2d6 again.
yeah,
just
exactly. I think something simple like that.
The 6 to 7 is your average there, but you could also get a long line.
Or you could
with
also get a
12.
really short ride though.
I mean,
I
this.
mean,
I mean,
I
this
don't know.
could be like a repeatable module that you do, like just whenever you have.
Maybe
like,
maybe it's
I don't
a
know.
maybe it's a 2d6 plus a flat modifier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
Okay.
like let's say 2d6 plus 3.
Yeah,
2d6
Um,
plus 6.
I think that's too many.
that's way
though.
too much. 'Cause
Average
what
is
if you
at
get?
10? 10 subs.
Yeah, but
But
like
what if you get
get
two
2
sixes?
sixes? That's 18 stops.
Hell yeah.
I'm with you. I'm already planning
you're right,
how we're
3.
going to do this
Remember,
over the
one
weekend
session,
next
though,
time.
Fred. One
Yeah,
session.
one session.
I mean, because even with a +3, if you just roll snake eyes, that's
okay.
a 5 stop.
Okay. All
so.
right. All right. You convinced me.
So
I'm nuts.
I mean, I'm with you on that though. So yeah, we roll the top, and then I think you should also we should also roll for the cars. How many cars there are? Is that insane?
I think the car should be pre-built.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way, like the GM,
I think the order could be randomized.
the order should be
Yeah.
randomized, but the cards themselves could be like
Okay.
pre-done.
Yeah.
'Cause how many cards were in the movie? Like
Who cares?
we would have. Yeah, I think like 5
Well, that's a-
cars
I
plus.
want to
like
do like
a-
10
You
cars.
think 10 cars?
I think 10 is a
Yeah.
good number.
Yeah, if you have 6 people, that's some empty cars, some full
Yeah.
cars. Everyone.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
should roll to
Like
see
Andy
what
Run.
car you start in.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
That's-
Absolutely you should.
yeah.
How big do you think the car should be?
The cars are like 10 feet wide, enough room for 2 people like sort of squeeze by each other. I think.
Plus the seats that you can like.
Plus
tuck
the-
into,
Yes, some of
right?
the cars will be roomier than others.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, yeah, would you say 10 feet?
Yeah.
10 feet across? That seems narrow.
For the passage.
Oh, for the passage.
Yeah.
Well, the pass I guess would be 5 feet.
The passage.
People have to like
yeah.
squeeze
Oh, okay.
by each other in the aisle, so
yeah,
maybe
definitely
like
not 10
15
feet.
feet,
Okay. Total?
total.
That-
total
That's
wide.
really thin.
Seems.
I feel like this doesn't matter.
Well, I'm just thinking combat wise because
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
if this is going to be
It's
a
definitely
combat
narrow.
module, how do you run it with like this is an agnostic game that can be used by with a game with spells or whatever.
Sure.
Most spells are going to be able to hit like a 30-foot
So-
radius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's another thing. Is this a theater of the mind game, guys, or is this you have to have a battle map?
I don't think you have.
I think it could be fun with the battle map, but you
Yeah.
don't have to have it.
Okay.
Well, you have to. The GM then has to run a lot of bystanders.
Yeah, again, I'm just kind of thinking how we're going to do this in our next.
I think this would be
That's
really
all.
fun. I think 2 GMs for this would be really fun.
Yeah.
And I think I want me and Shade to run it.
Someone running the
Ico Knights.
train.
Ico Knights. It's an
We're
Ico
doing it.
Knights game.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're actually going to do this.
Yeah.
I think it could be a lot of fun. The thing that I'm interested in is combat wise, like how to make it feel like, because Daniel, before we put on the mics, you were like, if this was D&D 5e, low levels, if you're a martial character, you win. High levels, if you're a wizard, you win, sort of thing.
Right.
So like, how do you mitigate it so that it's like an interesting each one of them?
I think the spell should be one use. Like if you get spells, I think they should be
Yeah.
like one use. They should be like really, really minor kind of spells.
Actually,
And I think, and honestly, this might be controversial, but I don't think any of them should be combat spells. Anyway, what are you going to say?
oh, I mean, so I like that, setting like restrictions for your players at the top. That's
Mhm.
a lot of fun. But alternatively, if you wanted because I mean, like someone comes on with a fucking machine gun at some point, right?
Yeah.
I forget exactly.
Yeah.
But if you wanted, maybe it's a train that has wards to protect against people using spells, but there are ways to break it, and you've just got to figure out how.
Okay.
So like it's another goal for your spellcasters to figure out.
For example, if you were to play it in 5e where spells are like fucking crazy,
Yeah.
maybe there are wards on like X amount of them where you can only use level 1 spells or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a ward that just reduces
specifically
it.
the non-combat spells.
Yeah.
Or like I guess more like anti-magic evocation wards and stuff like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
I think
Makes sense.
it could also be a lot of fun to steal the alarm system from Keys to the Golden Vault, to like have it be like, depending on, like you said, like bystanders in a car, if you're super obvious with something, then they're like, the alert level goes up, and the next stop, like all these police people or guards get on the train and are like, you gotta fucking get off the train.
So we've kind of got rough starting points. How does the game actually look when we start it, though?
Well, hold on. I was going to say, I love the idea of the police getting on, but the train is like, we got to keep going.
Yeah,
this is
like
weird.
So now they're just like a force that's there now.
Yeah, they're just there on
Well,
the train.
I think that like I think there is a level where like, okay, so there's like, I don't know, like wary, then there's like concerned, and then there's like scared or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you get to concerned, it's like sort of when cops will get onto a train and like check all the cabins to see what the disturbance is, kind of thing. You have like one of those things where like 5 guards are like going down the train and like checking in with the bystanders and like checking all the cubbies or whatever to make sure that the threat is gone. But if you're at like scared, then people are on the train being like, everyone get off the train, like this is done. kind of thing.
And then you can randomize reaction rolls from each of the bystanders. So like if you get one of their faces, like one of them is like, I actually have a knife on me and I attack you. Or like some of them,
but it can also be like, I have like $50, like shut the fuck up and I'll give it to you kind of thing. And like you can lower the level that way or something.
Right, exactly, yeah.
You also, I think with the guards going through and the suspicion and all that, there needs to be a mechanic for hiding the bodies.
Oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid style. Or it's just like a Weekend at Bernie's, like everyone's in a trench coat.
I mean, you just put the goofy sunglasses on the guy.
Yeah, they literally do that in Bullet Train.
Yeah,
exactly.
Should we go back in time and hashtag spoilers?
I can do a preface.
Hey, you know what?
I don't think we're spoiling
dumb
very
fucking
much.
movie. Just enjoy it. This is not one that
I don't think that spoiled anything.
No, I don't think so. But
But as we continue talking about the movie, we're probably gonna spoil something.
I
Yeah,
don't think we will. Because
know.
I think like just the prep. Well, anyway,
I might out of spite.
Also, one of the things that I really liked that we were kind of talking about before we went on mic was the idea that to like continue player action of there being one of 2 systems, but we can also brainstorm and see what we want to do. But like if your character dies, then you take all of either the currency that you've sort of like built up within the game and are able to use that to like kit out a new character to come in at the next stop. And like, but the main thing is that I really like the idea of like X amount of stops between each one. There's a certain amount of rounds or whatever. And then once you hit a stop, if you're dead, you can re-enter as a new assassin that's trying to get the suitcase.
Yeah, you definitely want to have characters come in with multiple characters.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
That keeps it interesting.
I just want to plan this now.
I'm 100% just so ready.
Like my brain is just like working.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of how it actually works. So we start, everyone rolls, that puts them into different trains. Maybe people start in the same car.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that could be really fun. Then you like, how do we decide, do we want to make it like procedurally generated in what is on each car? Do you plan out the cars beforehand, like you were saying, and say, oh, car 8 has, 10 bystanders sitting in it. It also has like a gun and a purse like up in the luggage of one of these places.
Yeah, every train's going to have like the
that.
same thing. It's going to have a sleeper car. It's going to have a beverage car.
Yeah.
It's going to have just like a quiet car and then like basic seating and then like a cargo. And then like a steward's car. So like different like little sort of like stealth things to deal with. You should definitely like have like a hide and seek mechanism, like you have in the Ruffin.
Totally.
You have to stash it somewhere because you don't want it on your person.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you do because then someone will find it and take it or whatever.
It's tough because like since it's kind of PvP, we have to figure out some kind of way. This is also kind of like a board game now. Also,
yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
So, like I said, we're just building towards Ticket to Ride.
Yeah. You'd have to be able to like give the GM like something secretly, like pass them a note and just be like, I'm putting the gun under seat 2A or something like that or whatever. Like I don't mind getting as nitty gritty as that. Like
that's great. I love it.
That's a level of crunch that I enjoy.
But I also think that you would have to also build in like if someone enters a car, they're like, okay,
you're allowed to search seats.
Yeah, I want to search literally as low, like this level of conspicuous, and also I want to look under every fucking seat kind of thing.
The level of conspicuouscy, like
gives you minuses on a roll or something.
Yeah, you can do more faster, or you can do fewer, but without being.
So I think
caught.
you're definitely going to be like you have. A full sweep of a car is going to take like 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Well, you need to have so many times until the next.
If we're doing like PBTA sort of thing, I know this is an agnostic system.
Sure.
But like what you could even do is just say there are 3 levels of conspicuous. There is a +2 or whatever, which is like you are not conspicuous. +2 is you are being very conspicuous with searching the car, and so that you have a really good chance of getting it.
You have a suspicious stat.
Yeah.
And anytime you do something, it contributes to that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and then like a -2 if you're doing it super secretly, so that like you're not going to be able to get as much, and maybe you aren't successful kind of thing. But yes, like have that kind of thing.
So there's 3 things that I just got to get out. First and foremost, the more and more we talk about it, the more I realize it definitely just does. The map has to be all planned out by the GM and co-GM. I do think it's a 2 GM system.
Yeah.
Number 2, we need to, we've determined how many stops there are by that roll at the top. At each stop, or at the start of the game.
Incident points.
This is essentially, I'm just thinking.
Everybody swap health.
A lot of what I've already fucking. But no, at the start of each stop, you roll to see how many rounds, and you've made a determination that the rounds are this many minutes. Like, let's say that a round is 7 minutes for this game, and each of those rounds, you only get 1 turn. So instead of being, 60-second rounds in 5e, for example, or 6-second rather. And then number 3, you're going to hate this, Franco, but I think you really need initiative on this one.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean,
actually,
either that or everything's resolved simultaneously.
Yeah.
So this is so I was actually thinking like maybe you have rounds, like 7-minute rounds, but you can take 3 actions in those rounds. So it can be sort of rock, paper, scissors a little bit, where you say like, I'm going to fight. And then if someone's like, I hide, fight, run, then they're like gonna get fucked up. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna be like punch. But you can like try to do it that way, and maybe that goes into the dice pool of like how much you're rolling for any individual thing you're trying to do.
I wonder if you could also just do it by car. Like every round, okay, all right, whoever's in the first car, let's resolve what you're doing, and then work your way back down the train.
That's an interesting way to do
kind
that.
of
Easier than everyone trying to roll initiative.
And that would be simultaneous as well. Yeah,
it's it weirdly like benefits you the closer to the front you are.
Yeah,
but like
if the thing's in the back,
that's a weird way to gamify it, but I like it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I'm in love with that. I think that's a great idea, Daniel.
Yeah,
good job, Daniel.
it's like a really it's like a weird, strange, arbitrary way to determine initiative. Is just which car are you in?
Because like
really
initiative is always
cool.
arbitrary anyway, except for like if you build your character to be an initiative monster. But like
I just thought of a great way to break that though. Just
stay in the first car.
No. I mean, again, we've done way with Magic, and I'm thinking about a 5e system here. But what if you were in the last car, so you took the last turn, but at the end of your turn you teleport? You're on the first card, so you take a second turn.
You can't teleport. You're on a train. You shouldn't be allowed to teleport on a train, because then how are you gonna? Are you sure you're gonna hit that?
Well, also, you don't get a second turn because you go to the.
Well, I mean, the first turn
and
the next.
Or maybe you have to like see.
That's fine.
Maybe
it's interesting to like double stack your turns.
And you could also do, but like whatever you're dealing with in the last car, when you teleport to the first car, it's gonna be a different set of ins, like on the like the stuff that's happening to you. So like,
I think if you use a teleportation spell on this train, and I think I now want to allow it, because there should be a chance for failure and ending up on the tracks, or
teleportation can only ever fail. I love that.
No, the roof should just be a totally like playable place to be.
On the top of the train.
Oh,
I think that top of the train, it's just like every turn you take, you have a roll to like stay stable or whatever, and then you like get reduced movement going forward, but like extra movement going back or something.
I think because of that, we should just be okay with everyone just fucking dying 70 times, because like
definitely.
I think because then you just get another person to the next step.
Maybe sorry. I mean, but maybe they've got something that snaps them back up to life. Like, so that you don't have to do multiple characters, right? Like, maybe
like the Vita tanks from BioShock, where you're just like, plump in your back.
like maybe they're on this to get this MacGuffin as some kind of fucking punishment.
I got you. Here we go.
No.
This is just an idea. Feel free to shoot it down.
Purgatory train.
Purgatory train.
Okay,
no, but
I don't know if I am.
But what if they're all like, so going to the lack of magic, maybe all of the players are magic users that are puppeting like assassin, like homunculi or like golems.
Oh.
And so and they just like, okay, that fucking broke. I'm going to make a new one and back in.
You role play as like the crime boss or whatever that's trying to get this package.
Yeah.
Oh, so your assassins are your tools.
Yeah, your assassins are your tools, and that way the characters don't get that attached to them. I mean, it's a one shot.
I know, it's a one shot. They shouldn't be attached.
Well, I'm just saying, because like you can also like have the homunculi go in, get blown apart, or whatever. You're like, I'm going to spend my resources to have like a blast shield because I don't want that fucking happening again.
Now I'm picturing this game as like one of those deck builder games. I use the poison assassin and the hook assassin, and you have different cards you can play as you
This
go.
also reminds me of Ars Magica, where you have a wizard who's building a tower, who has a tower, so your tower is your car.
Yeah.
And then you've got your...
so everybody's building their own car?
Yeah, or they have their car, and they're like defending it in some fashion. And then they've got their, their adventurer and their grognog, I don't remember what they're called, that go out there and do the trudge work. And
that would be a cool mechanic. Like you're in a car, like I defend this car from people entering it.
That's a totally different game.
We've completely got off the rails.
Yeah, but we're not. Let's refocus. Maybe the assassins being like golems or whatever is like gets too in the weeds or whatever.
It's fun,
but I just was thinking about a cool way of like getting continuity. But I think having new assassins is fine. They're all just from the same.
They're all just from the same company.
Yeah.
I think like. Also
allows people to try out a bunch of different characters and all that kind of stuff to be like, I'm like, the two-bladed assassin, like I never missed a cut. And then it's like next time it's like, next time I'm the shooter McShooting.
There's a wonderful scene in actual Bullet Train, spoilers, I guess, where a guy, an assassin comes aboard that is such a badass and is not in the end there. You don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
No. You've told us nothing in this story.
Well, guy with a knife. If you know the scene I'm talking about.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
You've already hashtag spoiler. You can spoil it.
Fucking the guy who's his entire wedding party dies, and he comes aboard the train to find the killer, and then is immediately fucking killed.
After,
why didn't
you guys just such a troll?
Why didn't you guys just let it go? I was willing to let it go. It's fine.
Anyway,
he told us everything we needed to know for the premise.
I think that guy's a badass. It's wonderful because they show him to be such a badass, and then he's dead in seconds.
Yeah.
Sometimes you roll poorly.
Yeah.
I think the time between the stops should be randomized, but should be fixed, and that the player should know it.
I think it should just be a roll of a d6 of like how many rounds you're gonna have between stops, because each stop is like different distances away or whatever.
I think the reason, I was trying to think like I don't want people to be out of the action that long, so like
if they die in round one or whatever, then
if they die in like the first chunk of round one, they know that I'm gonna get my character back at like this round rather than like a random amount of rounds.
That's fair.
No, I think it should be like set numbers. So we should like the stops,
because it's a really between stops
should be like 4-3, 4-3 or something. So it's like I have 4 rounds.
We could just roll a d4.
I think randomizing it at the top, but then making it static the whole way through would be the.
Yeah,
that's kind of
what if? What you could do also is like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense in a world, I guess. But you could start with 1 round, then 2 rounds, then 3 rounds, and then the last one, because you're not going to get another person at the end of the last one, is a full 6. So people are doing the most amount of things or whatever. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like there's more stops at the beginning of the route and less when you.
Yeah, exactly. When
like
you're
in real life.
Yeah. So you would have like. You're getting familiar with the train. You're trying to do all the things at the top, trying to suss out. And then like by the end, everyone is just fighting all the time because you have such a long stretch between. So it doesn't really matter if you're being sneaky or not, because you're like, okay, I got 6 rounds to try to get that fucking briefcase.
That's kind of good too, because if we think every stop there's going to be a new complication coming aboard, then that makes it less frequent, like really frequent in the beginning, but less frequent later on when, you probably it's already complicated enough.
Yeah.
What's a quick question for you guys? What's in the suitcase?
I don't think it matters. I think
matter.
you
don't think it does?
It does not matter, no.
See,
matter.
I think it does, especially if we're keeping with the premise of the movie, because what's that last stop? The idea is that you want the MacGuffin, the briefcase, for the last stop, for, whoever has hired you for this reason. But is everything as it seems? Is there another threat at that end?
I do think you
finale?
could have like a finale fight with the crime syndicate that's turning on everyone, and then everyone's assassins are like, okay, let's just fucking kill this guy.
Yeah. Maybe I'd like it to be up to the party.
Yeah.
Like it could be something where, I don't know, like I guess, yeah, you're kind of right. Like just getting off the train and you're kind of, and you have the briefcase and you're all set, then that doesn't feel like very
if you get off the train,
interesting.
Then what was the point of the briefcase this whole time? Like the whole game was keeping the briefcase.
Yeah, that's how a MacGuffin works in the movie. It doesn't matter what it is. The Maltese Falcon.
It doesn't matter what it needs to be. It was like that. You get to the last stop, you have it.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah, you should win.
Yeah.
You should win somehow. I think you should have the choice of like your crime boss is there. They've defeated all the other crime bosses somehow because you've been able to do this or whatever. Yeah. Like they're the one that meets you.
All their forces were going to the train.
Yeah, like you were able to meet them there. And then you have the choice at the end to either turn on that boss based on everything that's happened on the train, maybe like RP and stuff, or you can just be like, no, yeah, this is good, kill them all, and I win. Like you can either choose to win or, because now you have the narrative control as the player who ended up with the briefcase to be like, am I going to turn on my boss and see if this fight could be fun? Or am I going to like just...
Oh, that'd be kind of interesting. Yeah. And this is a bad idea, but I'm going to pitch it.
Okay.
Like, what if this game was like one of those legacy games, like Risk Legacy or Pandemic Legacy? So I was like, so we start the game and these are the 4 crime bosses vying for it. But like as you play,
and then next year it's a different set based on who like came in top 4 or whatever.
Yeah,
that's fun.
So the warlords are different. They're like rules how they act.
I fucking love a legacy game.
Yeah,
it's fun.
That's cool.
So one of the things that just to kind of about what's in this suitcase. What if your players try and open it?
And we'll find out right after the break.
Hey, I'm Brando.
And I'm Owen.
And we're the hosts of Banter and Such.
Each week we get together with the most interesting people that we know and talk about the things that we're generally interested in.
Like movies.
TV shows.
Movies.
Nostalgic childhood franchises.
Movies.
Urban legends.
And sometimes movies.
So check out Banter and Such anywhere you get podcasts.
Banter, & Such.
Or Banter and then the word and then Such.
Or just Banter and it fills in the rest automatically for you and you just click on it.
Either way, it's called Banter and Such.
Want to get into some BS with us?
Welcome back to Tabletopped, where we are building a module from scratch, inspired by Bullet Train. And right before the break, Shade, you were saying that what if something was in the briefcase?
And what if someone tried to open it? So...
Daniel already salted off Mike.
Yeah, I think he did. So Daniel, what's your solution, man?
We actually took a break this time.
I was going to say, like you say, if someone tries to open it, then you have an alarm go off, like a red blinking light, thus hiding the MacGuffin harder for the rest of the game. So like if your players try to like sneak into it, well, now winning is going to be harder. Good job.
Is it a smaller briefcase inside?
Yeah, just a toy briefcase. I think it should be like a tape. Like a cassette tape, and it's like, I don't have a fucking cassette tape player.
Oh, yeah, some like old technology.
Yeah.
Like, I can't actually use this.
This is microfiche. Yeah. It's a laser disc.
Yeah, I think that works fine. I think that like having a negative consequence, because also like the crime boss like preface at the beginning would be like, don't open the fucking briefcase, just bring it to me. Mm-hmm. I'll know if you open it. Don't open it.
Right, yeah.
And if they do, then it makes it harder, but also the crime boss at the end is like, this is opened, bang.
Well, then at that point you turn on them and then you join your fellow assassins on the train.
What if you actually did a randomizer for this? If they try to open the briefcase,
one of 6 things will happen.
One of 6 things will happen. Does a red light go off, making it harder to hide? Does it start emitting a loud screech? is it trapped? Do you risk death by opening up this thing too early? So I try to open it, I lose I lose the game.
And you make that very clear to the players.
Yeah.
Because it's always fun when they know exactly what could happen.
Yeah.
I like the idea too of somebody using that as like a final gambit. And they're like, I know I'm going to lose, so I'm going to open the briefcase and throw it at the other person or something, and like hope that it's going to be trap.
Hope it lands on trap.
Yeah, hope it lands on trap and throw it at them, and they're fucked.
I mean, I also part of why I asked is I like the idea of decoys, and if you can somehow, maybe there's another briefcase on this that looks similar enough that the players can find, and if they can somehow convince other players that like, oh yeah,
that should be part of the game design. I think somewhere on this train you can find a briefcase that looks like your briefcase.
To your idea about like everyone gets a card at the beginning that says whether or not they have the case, maybe certain items on the thing are actual physical cards that they get. And one of the cards that someone can get is you have the real briefcase. If anyone else has the briefcase, that is a decoy. Like that's just what the card says. So when someone at the end proudly goes like, haha, I have it, you get to fucking reverse Uno and undo all their work. Maybe that's
I kind of like it, but it's a little it feels a little unfair maybe.
Oh, it's super unfair.
Yeah, because then the other person who has the decoy briefcase is like,
well, I think the card should be, this is a decoy briefcase. You can make people think you have it if you want to try to play that.
I like the idea too of there being like when you get that card at the beginning, like it shouldn't just say you don't have the briefcase. It should say something like you have a stash in seat 2E or something like that.
Yeah, or like you have like a an X-ray device that will tell you whether a suitcase is a decoy or not.
Okay.
And then and then maybe there is somebody who you have the real briefcase. Anyone who says they have a briefcase is lying or whatever. Like maybe that's the power of that. Like I know for sure that this is the briefcase, but other people have the like way of like testing a briefcase, or they have a decoy, or they have like everyone comes into the train a little different.
Yeah,
I think could be fun. And maybe they just roll on a table of like what their thing is.
And just, I'm going to be taking us off the rails a bit.
Oh God!
Like, what if there was a way to do something where like the MacGuffin was different each time you ran this module? Like it was not always a briefcase. Like, it'd be like a way to like everyone gets a card, and then the DM draws another random card, and whoever matches that card. So maybe the players don't even know what the actual MacGuffin is.
Oh, there's just certain items that like. Could be one of these things.
That could be on the train.
I don't know.
And of course, it'd be clues on the DM's card to be like, okay, give the players this clue about what the MacGuffin is.
I think that's really fun, but I don't think that will contribute to a lot of conflict, because then you would just... Like if you're like, okay, I have an object, I don't know if it's the MacGuffin.
Oh yeah, it does. You need to know. Everyone needs to know what they're after.
Yeah.
That makes it a good point too.
So, but let's like get a little bit off of this topic and start talking, because we've done a lot about the environment of like what is going to be.
It's all that matters.
Around. The bullet train is the fifth character. But I also want to talk about NPCs and PCs. So like, how would these work in this module?
You have to have like different archetypes. I think that would be really fun. You could have like poison assassin, big gun assassin, the martial artists type.
Different like tools and tricks. Some that are like more likely to win a scenario, but also more likely to be caught. Because I also think getting arrested at each station could be a possibility. Not just death, but it's like, okay.
I think that's the suspicion meter.
That's kind of fun, actually. I didn't think about that.
You got caught attacking another passenger, so now you're getting escorted off of the train at this stop.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And then, but I think you just get on at the next stop later anyway.
It would still work like if your assassin died.
You just you're tapped out for like a round.
Yeah.
But I feel like you'd want to be arrested then, because you wouldn't want to, like, if you can get back on the train later, you might as well just burn through all your characters.
Well, you won't have time to try to like figure out who has the MacGuffin if you're not
on the train. But everybody else is figuring it out.
Yeah, and you're still there. Like you'd have to
leave the room like that Betrayer's game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think that being off the train for even like one stop is, because like if you look at action economy, like maybe there are other things you also have to do. Like maybe the train is, going on a certain path, and you have to like re-coordinate the train so that it goes to a certain stop at the end, and so you have to go do that, and then you have to keep hold of the MacGuffin, and that's also another thing. Like I'm just saying, like I think that they're, to Daniel's point and to your point, like why would anyone want to start shit until the final thing when they finally...
Why would anybody want to be on the train at all until the last round?
Yeah, so I think that adding in tasks that people have to do to make sure the train gets to where it's going is going to be...
Oh, because you have to get it to your crime boss, so they're at different...
Yeah.
At a different terminal station.
Oh, okay. This makes a lot of sense too. So you need the MacGuffin. You need to set the train to your destination.
Yeah.
So if you're not on the train and it gets rerouted,
and maybe that's one of the reasons why you want to be in the first car is because that's like what the pilot and like you have to...
This is getting complicated.
I
think maybe it should just be some kind of like XP system, and the longer you're on a train, the easier it is to fight, or something like that, or something mechanical that is.
It needs to be something mechanical where you need to be on the train for as many rounds as you can.
Yeah. Like
but
bringing
not so many rounds that if you do die and you bring your new character, that new character is not doomed to lose because they got on it.
You could also just say you have 3 characters.
Oh.
And if you
you can board the train 3 times.
Yeah, you can board the train 3 times, and if you're off, either arrested or killed 3 times, then
let's say you don't come back if you're arrested.
Yeah. So this brings up a point there. It's so obvious when a player character is, on the map. I think that at each stop, each player gets to move.
Oh, definitely.
All of the NPCs, as well as like a certain number of NPCs. Maybe that's the XP. And the longer your character's on the train, the more characters you get to move around. And why I'm saying this is because there's a secret werewolf element to this, right? And it's not just the suitcase. It should be like, are you playing this person who has the suitcase maybe? Or where is your person? You need to kind of be able to hide on this train. And so I think the actual like piece, assuming there's a map involved in this, piece for your player needs to be unknown on the battlefield.
I want to draw backwards a little bit.
Yeah, please.
3 turns, go back to that, but what if you have your 3 assassins that you start the game with? Mm-hmm. So it's like maybe one of them has the MacGuffin, but like either you have 3 assassins on this train, so they can get arrested or they can be killed, but each assassin operates independently. So with a game of 4 players, are dealing with 12 assassins on this 10-car train.
Okay. Oh, and then you should be able to choose when they get on and off.
Yeah,
or not off, but. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, like you just start with them and you just choose where they get on and off.
And you have until they all 3 of your guys get killed.
I like that better, I think.
Yeah.
Because then that way it's a little less it's a little less hand wavy, but it's also a little bit like they have to like think strategically about like when do I want my guy to come in.
It could also be a thing of like you build the first 2 characters just to seek out and identify other assassins. So when the last guy comes in to like get the thing, they're like, okay, I know that's an assassin. I know that's an assassin. Going back to your thing of like, there's just a lot of people on this train. Who's who? I don't know. Like with that,
it lets you play like hold on, I'm trying to put this idea together. But so you have 3 assassins that are your assassin cards, and then you have your bystander cards that you maybe also have control over.
I think we're getting too in the weeds. Yeah, I think we need to go back to simplifying if we're going to do a one-night thing.
Especially if it's
no, this is a campaign now.
I like start with 3 assassins. You can put them on whenever you want, but you have to put the first one on the first stop. And then...
Or they're all on the train, but you don't have to reveal who they are on the train until they make an action. So you could have one assassin just be hidden the whole time.
What about this for the reason why you stay on a train? Every time one of your characters dies or gets arrested, the next assassin that goes in is like less in quality. So it's like if you were in a D&D thing, you'd start like with a level 10 assassin, and then by the 3rd or whatever time, you're down to like level 2. And that's why...
You can't win in the end, though.
Well, but... because the person who's been like surviving through the whole thing probably has very little hit points and stuff by the end because they've just been taking waves of people. So they still makes them competitive because they're still like high level, but they're probably out of spell slots if they had any. Their HP is probably at least halved. Then you have the other 5 people with level 2s going to attack you. That's doable.
I think if you're running something really simple, you can roll all your stats, and then you just bring in the weakest ones like whenever you want, I guess. I don't know.
Level disparities I don't like because it does make like if you get kicked out early, you're just kind of stuck.
I think you just have to pick a game that doesn't have such level bloat like 5e does.
Yeah.
You'd have to pick a game where advancement is not necessarily based on leveling, or where like the power creep isn't like
Which is why I like Powered by the Apocalypse, because you fail, you get experience points. You bring another character in, they don't have those same experience points, but it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Monster of the Week character that is just starting out can easily just mesh into any group that's been playing as long as
Yeah.
I think if you were to do Monster of the Week or something, you need to make custom playbooks though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. This game's going to take some prep work.
We're designing a new. Yeah.
We basically designed a Powered by the Apocalypse terrain heist.
I'm still going with dice pool, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I like the idea of dice pool. I just like, well, maybe even it's just like you have your dice pool when your new character comes in, they just have less dice in the pool or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like later on. But otherwise, if you come in with your full dice pool and like the veteran still on there has used all their dice, then that's kind of fucked.
I think it would be cool if
the players have a dice pool. The assassins
they assign to each of their assassins, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a type of dice rule, like dice pool rule, that is like it's kind of for like the simplification of figuring out target numbers. They're called Milton dice, and it's like. You count 1, 2, and 3, but you don't count 4, 5, and 6. You count them as 0, and so then the average is like 1 for every die that you roll.
Yeah.
So if you were trying to hit a target number of 5, if you have a dice pool of 5, then you're probably on average, you're gonna hit that number. So it's an easy way to like figure out, if you set like a difficulty to like 5, then you'd be able, like on the train for like certain actions or something like that. Then you could like just use that type of dice pool. Kind of what I was thinking of. But any kind of dice pool mechanic works. Like if you're like looking for 6s or looking for whatever.
Yeah, and like going to combat, it could be like the amount of 6s that you roll or the amount of damage that you do. Yeah. So like 4 6s means 4 damage, and maybe you take your you have an HP of 7 or something like in Monster of the Week, and then you just do it that way. And then you could get armor or whatever. Like maybe you come on, or you just like lash together some seat leather onto your body.
Well, I think, I mean, yeah, you should be able to. I think it's like the longer you're on the train, the more you're able to like look around and loot like useful supplies. And so by the time you're getting on last, if you have like a late entry to the game, they haven't been able to find all the cool shit.
Yeah.
So like, meanwhile, like all these other guys have like laser guns or some shit. And then you're like, okay, this is my last assassin. I guess I'm going to get on the train now. And I have like basically next to nothing because I haven't been on this train as long.
Yeah. And you can like, instead you're kind of a new face. So you'd have to use like subterfuge or whatever to try to get there.
What if we reversed ordered it?
Okay.
Where the last assassin had the most stuff.
I think they should just be able to choose which assassins get on when.
Yeah.
Like the player should be like just allowed to make that call
make
for
that
themselves.
gambit on their own. Do you want your best assassin to go in first, or do you want to try to like reverse, like you could that should player choice. Assassin order.
I think that I personally would also go with like maybe just for simplicity's sake and like making your players not have to like be like player knowledge, character knowledge or whatever. Like maybe all the assassins have a radio or a phone or whatever, and they're like, you can like spend one of your moves in a round to be like, this is what's happening, so that when your next assassin comes in, you don't have to be like, I don't know who's in this car. You could be like, that's the fucking guy that the other assassin told me about.
It's tough. A PvP game with player knowledge versus character knowledge is very tough.
Well, you just write in earwigs. Every character has an earwig in, and their crime boss is monitoring their mission.
Yeah. I'm trying
Security cameras and stuff like that show what's been happening. So you don't you come in with the surveillance information attached.
Yeah. And being able to blend in with the crowd or hiding or whatever, like you can do that. You have like a coordinate system or something like that. It's very, I don't know. There has to be a lot of trust, I guess. But
you can't play this game to win. You have to play this game to be chaotic.
It's tough, It's
but
tough.
also
I think you'd have to have a very mature group, or you'd have to be like, okay, all bets are off. Like, go for it.
Yeah. I think also though that like in Bullet Train, it's not like any of the assassins are super like not assassins. You know what I mean? Like they're all kind of, you look at them, you're like, yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah, person's an assassin.
The
He looks like
protagonist
Brad
rules,
Pitt, but that's an assassin.
So it could be like that you take,
You're
you
all
know,
obvious.
yeah, like someone takes a playbook that allows them to stealth, and that's like one of their main playbooks or whatever, and that they can like in a group of NPCs hide, like Assassin's Creed style.
You take your turns in secret until you're revealed to be the assassin.
And then everyone else is just open kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, you could. Yeah, it's like diplomacy. You just write down your orders and you hand them over.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, here we go.
I kind of like that being, and I think I like the stealth being a specific part of like an archetype or a playbook, and maybe it's like a playbook that you say like cannot be taken with like machine gun or whatever as a skill. Like you have to like give up a lot of combat prowess to be able to blend in with everybody else, but at the same time it allows you to take a lot of things in secret.
I like the idea, and I think you guys know this about me, of just not using any classes at all, or not using any archetypes, and just defining them by their gear. Like here's a gear package, or you just get certain types of gear, or like you roll up a table, or you have to like divvy up the gear between your 3 assassins or something like that.
And I like you take a gear pool, and you
that's so much better. Yeah, and so instead of playbooks, it would be like the gear is common clothes, and so that would be the gear package you get.
Yeah, I love the idea of like the default clothes for the assassins being something completely bonkers.
Yeah,
and, like, that's randomized as well.
Yeah,
like you're just kind of like, okay, roll on this table, but it's not like a D20 roll. It's like a 3D12 or 3D20 or something like that, and you have eccentric, yellow, scarves,
made of knives.
This guy's a fucking assassin.
This person was just thrown and dragged through a hot
One
tub.
of the playbook's like special skills is you're dressed like a background character.
Or it's like there's a whole section of the table that's just different like mascot characters that you.
Oh shit! Yeah, for sure. Fumofu.
Yeah, I think that would be that's the way to do it, and that's how you make it agnostic as well as that. And maybe like if you want to make it truly like an OSR kind of thing, that you just like roll and you don't get to choose the assassin, you just get to choose the gear kit that it comes with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's I do think randomizing but I think
I love
to
randoms.
an element you also want to keep your character's identity secret for as long as possible. So not saying like, okay, guys, I rolled yellow scarf, kind of thing.
We would have to tell the other players what car you were actually on. You like declare your actions, but no one knows.
Well, but no, going back to the thing that you were saying, I think that in every case except, I got the gear common clothes or whatever, then it's like when the next round starts, the GM is like, and on car number 3, a woman walks in who's wearing nothing but yellow scarves from head to toe. And it's just like, seems like these clothes have been stitched together out of hundreds of scarves. And then everyone's like, okay, that's a fucking assassin.
There it is.
I think that's the bonus, because then you don't know what that person's equipped with, because all you know is that they have combat prowess, because they do not have common clothes. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's so silly.
And maybe like common clothes takes up your slots, but then otherwise you get 2 slots or something, so you can roll like a gadget and a weapon. Yeah. And then that's your thing. I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah. So let's just review to see where we're at. You have a bullet train that you pre-decide on what the cars look like, and you have a certain amount of
their position.
Yeah, and then you roll to randomize their position.
And the shit that's on them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then turn order starts at the front of the train, works to the back of the train.
Yep.
There are 1d6 plus 3 stops between the beginning of the trip and the end of the trip.
Yep.
And that you count up in order of how many rounds to get to between each stop, starting at 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, all the way into your final stop, which is like 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that you have more turns between stops at the end. Yeah. The goal is to get the MacGuffin who somebody starts with on the train and bring it to your crime boss, which is at the final stop.
Yep.
If you are killed or you are arrested, because there is a sort of an alert system happening, then you get to enter in on the next stop as a new assassin.
Well, I think we decided that you could put you start with 3 assassins and you can put them on the train whenever you want, just at certain stops.
Sure.
Yep.
if that's fine.
Yeah,
or
maybe
the
you
other
should
thing.
choose
Do whichever you want.
Well, maybe you should choose when what stops they start. Like at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, you choose which stops the new
Yeah.
assassin will come on. The only thing I'm worried about there is that if you have someone who's like, okay, I'm going to put my first assassin here, and then both of them towards the end.
Yeah,
On the thing,
and
then there
I'm gonna
might be
give them all their gear,
that's-
gear.
Yeah, and then maybe there's a section
I
of
think-
time where they're just not in the game.
I think
because-
you gambit that though with they're towards the end and they have all their gear, sure, but other people have amassed gear that have stayed on.
Yeah, and they've looted your characters.
Yeah.
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 Okay, then yeah, either way seems fine with
Yeah.
me. Like you can do whatever is more interesting to your group. There are 2 GMs, one running the train turns, which we haven't gotten into yet, like the environmental turns.
Yep.
And then one running the NPCs, or what would the other one do?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think probably adjudicating the rules should go to the
Like the
person running
combat
the train.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say.
So
But the
someone's
MP
running the train, and then one person's maybe like adjudicating NPCs in conflict.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Split it up as you want.
Yeah.
It definitely, I don't know why, it just feels like something that you would need 2 GMs for.
I agree. It
I
seems
don't
like
know
something.
why.
Well, I think it's for one thing the prep work.
Yeah,
This
it's a
is
lot of
something
prep work.
that I think would benefit from prep.
Yeah.
And having someone to bounce ideas off of, like we're
Mhm.
doing here, is always fun. But for another, I think that you could kind of expedite things a little bit
Mhm.
by maybe one GM handles the front half of the train and the other
Yeah.
handles the back half of the train.
That's kind of fun.
And that also helps with like, okay, back half of the train, folks, go with this GM over here, and you're going to have whatever's playing out. And
Front
other
half,
folks,
we're over
front
here.
half, we're over here. And that way, no half knows what the other half is doing. There's a little
Maybe.
more like, whoa, what the fuck happened in the first car?
Yeah.
Why
are there
is
so many dead
this one
bodies
car
now?
completely empty?
Yeah.
But I also like the idea, going back to our overview, at every stop a complication gets drawn and added into the mix. I just thought of one that could be fun, of like the train breaks down for a second. It has to be fixed for you roll 1d6 rounds. Everyone is in a train station, like one big room.
Oh, yeah. Get off the train.
Yeah, you have to get off the train and
God.
wait. I think that like stuff like that could be fun, or police officers entering, or like a special detective or whatever.
What's
my God,
keeping
special detective.
what's
Yeah.
keeping the MacGuffin though on the train at that point? Because this is something that I've been kind of trying
Well, the
to
MacGuffin has to get to the end of the station.
right, but
It's kind of the
there
plot
are-
hole in the movie,
the movie too. Yeah, I mean there are, and I kind of want to fix that.
Well, you could just be like, at the beginning, the crime boss is like, there are cops that we haven't paid off at every single stop except for this one. This is the one you have to get it to, so we can get it through security
Sure.
and get to the crime.
Yeah, whatever conceit
yeah.
you need, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And just
gotta-
be like, we have enough like control over the law in this area that we can make this like slide
Yeah.
happen, whereas everywhere else we're kind of not powerful enough.
that is a plot hole in the movie.
it's such a plot hole.
Or there's a remote detonator on the MacGuffin. It's like, oh, if you take it away from the train before we get to the end of the line and turn off the...
If it goes off
The
Wi-Fi, it explodes.
maybe they don't
The
trust
train
you
Wi-Fi.
to not take the train. Maybe like they don't want you to take an Uber.
You're all wearing a
Well, I think if you're
necklace that
dealing with
explodes.
assassins, it's
Different
like,
game.
yeah, we definitely have a safeguard to make sure you don't take the thing and run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Or maybe it's just that all the other assassins, like people, have people at every stop, like waiting for someone to get out with it, and like that last stop is where
They
you
have a MacGuffin detector.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, then at that point, like, if my guys, I've got folks at the station ready to make sure none of you fucking take the suitcase away from me. Well, when you take it off, then my guys take the suitcase from you, and we're all set. They're just gonna hop in the car and make this journey a lot easier. So I don't know. That is something that's a plot hole that I didn't like about the movie, and I don't like about the game.
Well, if you're playing our game, don't do that.
yeah, don't do
Yeah.
that.
Spirit of the game.
Yeah,
Get it to the
spirit
end
of
of
the
the
game. Figure something
line.
out.
Don't worry about it.
There's just a cutscene where like a shot rings out, you hit the floor in the MacGuffin. You like someone else sees the MacGuffin walking back on the train in someone else's hands, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, oh my God. Yeah. There's like a kill thing that you just get auto killed. You tell the players, it's like, hey, we're playing on the train. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. You're locked.
Yeah.
If you get off the train and try to leave with it, a bystander is going to walk in thinking it's their suitcase or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, or it has like an anti-theft thing, which makes
low
it
jack.
like
Or
it
like-
automatically teleports back to
Or
the
it's
train.
like
There's $1 million payday, and you don't get paid unless you get the MacGuffin. To
Or
the
like,
life
you know,
station.
a
So
cop with
walk
like
if you want.
a drug sniffing dog or something like comes up and it's like, what's in the suitcase? And that's like a hard blackout or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's probably also just something where like the crime boss just wants you to do that because they're capricious and
yeah,
shitty.
and
Yeah.
you just have to listen to them.
Yeah.
So sorry, we'll move on.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So that's the basic thrust of it. Is there anything else that and what we said about character creation, everything is that it can be very random. Your character abilities and everything are based on gear rather than like any sort of individual class or whatever, allowing this to be super game agnostic. Is there anything else that we want to make sure we get in to this module?
I forget what else we talked
mean,
about.
we were
If
gonna-
you forgot, just rewind.
Yeah.
We were going to talk a little bit about environmental things, just some fun things to do. The mascot
Mascot's
would be a
fun.
fun environment.
School trip.
School trip, yeah.
Nuns.
Just a bunch of nuns come through, yeah.
One
Or
guy
like-
that looks just like a vampire, but is like kind of weird.
A drunk passenger making a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe like legitimately 6 passengers step aboard and they're carrying like the exact same briefcase on one of the stops.
People doing dancing on the train.
People dancing.
As-
Oh, a
My
flash
busking.
mob
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
train.
Was it a flash mob wedding?
Flash mob
Oh my
wedding on the
gosh.
train.
Shit, that's good.
So we haven't, the one big thing we haven't talked about, which is a big part of the game, but also kind of would rely on whatever system you end up using if you don't go with like an OSR style, is combat. So like how would combat work, especially with all the complications that we add to the train?
I think it's for the system to.
Yeah,
figure out
I
if you
agree.
choose whatever system you're gonna.
So basically, it should be like a roll off of, all right, you're assassin versus that assassin. One of you's about to die. And then just like, yeah, if you get caught in a fight, then it's time to roll or go.
I think it could be. So there's I think Luke Gearing is his name. Came up with a system called Violence, and it's a one roll resolution system. And you just like roll, and then you consult the chart, and you just see like that's what happened at the end of this fight.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep fighting, you can roll again.
Yeah.
And you can push your luck long enough to. I think you just use violence. Yeah, I'll put that in the chat somewhere.
Yeah. I like that idea too of like violence is to be avoided because these are
Sure.
assassins, not like, you know, mercenaries or like
Yeah.
soldiers. So they're all trying to get like the quick kill because, you know, and like the longer you can be on the thing, if you're like, you know, using that system, you roll and you're like, oh, I'm concussed now. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
not a good thing to have happen in the rest of this game if you're like bumping around trying to like,
totally.
you know, so
you end up with an injury of some kind that is very detrimental to you trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
If you well, also like you should choose your weapon, and then the result should be based on whatever weapon gets used on you. So like if you take a poison needle to the throat, then you're like, well, okay, you lucked out this time, but now you are like vomiting
Yeah.
every other round or something.
yeah, you have horrible diarrhea.
Yeah, you're just completely fucked.
I think that could be a lot of fun. I would also just say, like, my personal advice would be to have at least one car be an empty car. So that
totally.
people can like either fight in there or whatever without having the alert system happen. And you can also use it as like something to take away from them. Like someone could move and like push NPCs into that car so it's a more safe zone or something. And maybe it's the car that connects the front and the back of them, like it's the middle car.
Well, also you could have ways of having the players move the NPCs in like sort of story-based ways.
Yeah.
Like just, you know, just saying like, oh, when you're in like the food car or something and you're like, hey, could you get me something from the back or whatever? And then you've emptied out the food car somehow.
Yeah.
Or
Whatever,
like
the bar car. or
everyone, the
something.
food's raw, and everyone go back. Like you're like everyone exit out. We're gonna clean this stuff up
Yeah.
or whatever. Or maybe your person's poisoned and vomits in the car, and everyone's like gross, and they're
And
like,
they'll
get out,
leave.
get out of the car.
Yeah. That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
It's like, you get the detriment of having to throw up for a round, but everyone will leave the car that
Yeah.
you're in.
I still do like to have. I still like the idea of having a thing that's like, okay, you have 3 actions, like an action economy thing where you can do per round. So because that way you can say like, all right, my main thing this round is like I want to search this car, and then I want to like try to make myself a makeshift weapon, and I want to try to bar the door. And those are 3 things that I'm trying to do within the next thing.
I think you should also like declare whether you have your weapon out
Yeah.
or readied or something like that. Like I think in some systems it's sort of like, okay, you drop it and you take out the other one.
Yeah.
But like in this situation, you'd be like,
That guy's carrying a knife.
that guy just dropped the knife and now has a gun out.
Yeah.
It's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah.
does everyone feel good about this bullet train
Yeah, I
module?
feel
I
great.
can't wait to play.
Yeah, this is going to be a great
It's gonna
ICO.
be fun. Fucking write it. Yeah,
It's gonna be
shit.
fun.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed us building this module as much as we had fun doing it. You also should have fun exploring the other podcasts on the Helios Network, which Tabletopped is a proud member of. If you're interested, head and find Banter and Such, a really great culture podcast about movies, games, and everything else from our childhoods. I really love listening to Owen and Brando talk about movies. They're really funny, and they have a really solid show over there. So go give it a listen if you haven't already. If you'd like to support the show, head over to tabletopppod.com. Down in the bottom, there's a contact form where you can send us questions to answer on the pod. You can also send us any notes that you might think would be important to the show. Up in the top right corner, there is also links to all of the things you might want to find us on. We have a Twitter, we have an Instagram, we have a Discord community, which I really encourage you to become a part of. There's also a Patreon if you want to throw a few bucks our way. All right, everyone, we will see you next week for another episode of Tabletopped. Goodbye.
Bye.
Later.
See ya.